Griffin McElroy.
Phil Kohler, hail and well met, sir.
Welcome back to this wonderful world of Dark Souls 2. Doesn't this all look familiar? Remember this tutorial in Dark Souls 2?
I have beaten this game, I want to say 3 times since it originally launched.
Here's something you may not have seen when you beat it. What's this guy doing here?
Who's that?
It's a statue.
Is that a scholar of the first sin?
I don't know what this is. This is, my first time through this tutorial. There's a damn statue blocking the way.
I guess you just don't get to learn that part of the game.
Yeah. So we have to come back there later. I'm just going to be showing off. So this is Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin, which is the re-release of Dark Souls 2 for PS4, Xbox One, also on PC. Actually, I think it's all on last-gen consoles as well. But the thing that's interesting about this re-release is they have... what is he doing there?
You're not supposed to be there yet.
They've gone ahead and remixed all of the enemy placement. They've changed enemy AI patterns so that they're way more aggressive. They've generally... Basically what they did...
In the words of T-Pain, they done chopped and screwed it.
Yes. Basically what they've done is they were like... you know how some really hardcore Dark Souls fans were like, Dark Souls 2's too easy.
They
were like, we got your back. We're gonna make it a lot harder.
We're gonna put big hippo monsters in the starting area. Well, there already were 2 big hippo monsters, but you did not have to fight them. I guess you don't have to fight this guy, but
you can't even. So the ones in the tutorial you can't even get to now because that statue's blocking your way. And now we got this guy just hanging out here. And, I'm doing my best, early in the game. I decided to show off Forest of the Fallen Giants, which is, of course, the first area you go to, and I just want to show off some of the big differences and just how much the new enemy placement and the ways that they've changed this stuff actually affects everything. Do you think I'm going to be able to beat this guy?
No, just like I've watched your Bloodborne Let's Plays, and just I feel like I sort of know the shape of your skill and talent when it comes to like demanding video games.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah.
He just ate my head.
You got all ed up. Wow, that's really brutal. Yeah. So called that. So I want to hear like. I've heard some like people be kind of down on the because it's already out on PC. I've heard some people be kind of down on Scholar of the First Sin because it doesn't change like a whole lot, and the price tag for what is ostensibly a remixed, remastered, whatever you want to call it, version of a game that people probably played last year is maybe a little bit too steep. What's your thinking on that? I know you haven't gotten super far into it.
I'm bad at doing price analysis because we don't really consider that so much with reviews on Polygon.
Sure, but does it feel like do the changes make it feel like a new thing? Like, do you feel like you want to play all through it again?
What I will say is that the changes are enough that having already played through Dark Souls 2, like twice at this point, I definitely feel like I want to keep playing through Scholar of the First Sin. There are some changes as well that are a little bit more meaningful. Scholar of the First Sin is actually an NPC who they've added to the game. They show up a lot later. It's going to be after you beat the 4 main primal bosses. But there's a whole basically new side storyline with this character, and if you follow that storyline through to its completion, maybe a new boss fight.
Ooh, interesting.
And then of course there's also some new armor and weapons tied to that storyline. So there's more than just the remixed enemies, but I will say, like, personally, these remixed enemies, and like, look at how many dudes there are here.
Yeah, there's a lot.
They just keep coming up. This makes it interesting. It makes it feel new again in some way. And there's something really cool about the fact that I'm going through these areas that I'm very familiar with, but having to react to them in new ways.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that people who haven't played Souls games like won't really get, is like you play through these areas so many times because you die so much.
Yeah.
Especially you, Phil.
Especially me.
And so you like memorize the patterns and you memorize the spawn placements, and the fact that all that has changed is very transformative.
Yeah, it's particularly like Forest of the Fallen Giants. I've gone through so much that it's like I'm ready to just run on through here, not have an issue with anything, and the fact that I die in the Forest of the Fallen Giants multiple times is crazy. Here's something I never had happen to me in the original game. That guy's kicking me off this ladder.
Yeah.
That's
well,
rude.
I mean, I think that was in the original game. You just never got kicked?
I never got kicked.
Wow.
The enemies, I will say, in addition to there just being more enemies, more scary placement of those enemies, they also seem a lot more aggressive.
Yeah, I remember that was a big thing with, there was a mod, I can't remember if it was for Dark Souls 1 or 2, but there was like an aggro mod, where just like enemies would, as soon as you stepped into an area, every enemy in that area would just like start coming for you. And it made the game like really, really difficult. I imagine they haven't cranked it up quite so much.
So you remember this area, I realized, oh, there's somebody shooting arrows at me. They placed an arrow guy just out of your reach there.
Well, that seems fair.
It's kind of rude, to be honest.
Let me ask you a question. Has playing Bloodborne, and I don't know how you usually play these games. I either play as like a magic user or like a heavy armored faith user.
Yeah.
And playing Bloodborne has made me want to dip into Scholar of the First Sin and play as like a super lightweight, like reflex-based character, because that's like all there is for the most part in skill in Bloodborne.
Let me just wave at this guy.
Do you feel that urge also?
No, I definitely get what you're saying. It's weird going back to a game that has shields, legit shields that you can actually use. Here's another guy who's not supposed to be here. Remember these big turtley guys?
Yeah.
You wanted more of those, right?
No, they're the worst.
Yes. Well, you get more.
I feel like Bloodborne like taught me how to use the riposte system. I mean, I've been playing Souls games for a long time. It's like one of my favorite series ever, but I just never used the riposte system because I guess I was a baby casual magic user.
Yeah, and I was bad at it. You will see later in this video, I pull off a successful counter with my shield for what might be the first time ever. That was that jerk archer who was shooting at me earlier, by the way. That's where he's placed. For those
you really showed him.
So you remember you come up here and that boss appears, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But what happens the second time you come up here?
Nothing, right?
Well,
yeah, I mean, you get stabbed to death by enemies, apparently.
Look at this. There's like 15 guys. There's just so many guys.
Yeah. Well, the trick is to not let there be so many guys by way of your killings.
Yeah. And look at how. So like, this is what I mean about them being more aggressive. Is like they don't back off. They're just
there's
all
no
coming at me, and there's no. They don't really give you any time to like just chill and drink.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be much kiting going on here. It seems to just be kind of an orgy. I imagine that this would make like spell casting builds less viable.
I would have to think so, and you know I haven't gone through playing as a spellcaster here, but it seems like it would be a lot harder when there are so many dudes and they're all coming at you at the same time. Like this is a situation where you walk up onto this area here, and all of those guys aggro at the same time.
Yeah.
They all
well, not to mention, I imagine this version has ingested all the changes that they made in the updates to the original Dark Souls 2, which made casting already kind of not viable because it reduced the damage of I don't know about arcane spells, but of faith-based spells, pretty dramatic.
Yeah, yeah, it has indeed taken in all of those.
Terrific,
terrific.
News.
I'm gonna get him one way or another. But it's very strange, you know, having spent a week with Bloodborne now and going back to this. And the thing that kind of comes across to me is just how different those two games feel. Like, it's almost weird to think about, I was tweeting about this yesterday, but it's weird to think about the fact that they share the same DNA because they feel so different now. And it almost really does feel like if they wanted to keep these as like two separate branches, they really could without it feeling like overkill.
Did it give you any more insight onto which you like better? I don't think we've talked about this. We've talked about Bloodborne.
I still haven't gotten far enough in Bloodborne to say for sure. You've been watching my videos, so you know.
Yeah, with horror, one might say.
You know that it's taken me a while.
Not because of the latent Lovecraftian horror that the game provides, but just, you know, shame. For the most part.
Shame that these are being published on your website.
Yeah, just like I don't want people to think it's a representative cross-section of all Polygon people's skills at Souls games.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm really liking Bloodborne a lot. I will say that. But I also really like Dark Souls 2 a lot. So
do you like
I'm one of those rare people who Dark Souls 2 is my favorite.
Yeah, me too. I know that, again, that is heresy. But, yeah, I liked it a lot. It was a little... when Mike McWhorter, who did not like Dark Souls 2, talks about it, he calls it bloated. I get that a little bit. I think it is probably...
Mike McWhorter even... I don't even know if I would say did not like. Did not like it as much as the other Souls games.
Yeah, sure. But I think bloated is probably a pretty good term for it, especially once you got that DLC in there. I didn't even finish the last DLC.
Visions of Sadness. Yeah. So you remember going up here?
I do, and someone spawns behind you.
Someone spawns behind me. Just a dude spawns. Oh.
No, there's two dudes. I see what they've done here. Oh God, no.
Oh boy, they just don't
Jesus.
stop.
No, you're Morningstar.
I know. It's
well,
the worst
that's
time.
about as bad.
And there we go. Perfect. Nailed it.
Well, what can you do? Well, at least he dove in after you just to check on the body, to loot your corpse.
Buddy, are you okay? So I did want to show off the first boss here just to redeem myself a little bit, since I showed myself dying a lot. The boss, as far as I can tell, the boss encounters have not really changed it very much. I do discover a summon here that I don't remember if it was in the original game or not. But
ooh, interesting.
But I took it just for kicks. I switched over to a nice hand axe here.
Has item placement changed very much? Because, like, if the fire longsword isn't where the fire longsword usually is, I'm screwed. Like, all of my builds are usually built around getting that fire longsword in this area and making good use of it.
Some item placement has changed. I don't know how much. I would say.
Well,
maybe
I noticed
like,
that white, I forget the name of it, the white knight that drops the lightning infused weapon wasn't there.
I forgot to mention that. Yeah, that guy's not there, and we'll see him in a little bit. Just you wait.
Okay.
But yeah, some item placement has definitely changed. Here's this last giant.
How are the bosses? Are the bosses much? Have they?
Yeah,
changed
again,
much?
as far as I can tell, they're pretty much the same.
Have you fought the? Is it Interceptor? Is that his name?
Yeah, I fought him up on that rooftop, and then I went and did the actual boss fight a little bit later. And again, he seems pretty much the same. That guy was already pretty aggressive, so I don't know how you can make him more aggressive.
Yeah, I didn't care for him much.
Well, I mean, I have no problems with him, but I'm
okay, fine.
One kill.
I guess I had that coming. Yeah, well, I do hope that they have increased the difficulty of some of the later boss fights, because I remember fighting like a good 4 or 5 bosses in a row that I just beat my first time out. That like,
sure.
I don't know. I thought were kind of boring. Like the Black Gulch boss, I forget what it's called. It's like kind of a snore.
The Rotten.
The
that boss killed me a million times, but I suck.
Yeah. Well, I guess different strokes for different folks, huh? You seem to take this last giant down pretty easily, though.
Yeah, not even a hit.
Thanks, Sellsword Luette.
Not even a hit. I just needed that sellsword to help me out. And this is my little celebratory. Yeah.
That's my favorite gesture in the game.
Yeah.
You seem like you're doing some sort of football cheer.
So now to end off the video, I thought I would head on over to the Tower of Flame here, and
oh, there he is.
There's our buddy, and
just talk to him.
I feel like, be wary of tough enemy. He's not alone, so there's another one right over there.
Oh, interesting.
It feels like there's a bunch of them in this area.
Well, before you attack him, make sure you go to that bonfire. God, Phil, what are you doing?
Nah, I think I got this. And here's where I decide that let's see if I've learned anything from Bloodborne. Let's try this parrying mechanic that I never really got down in my original time with Dark Souls 2.
How many times have you hit the triangle button to heal in Dark Souls 2? Yeah, so many times.
Also, not having blood vials is weird.
Yeah.
That I'm just looting constantly.
What are you playing this on again?
So this is the PS4 version.
Yeah, I've heard that is actually the version to get the frame rate's little.
Yeah, or the PC version. It still gets a little bit framey at times, but not.
Well, yeah, it's a Souls game.
Yeah, but the PC version, of course, will be. There you go.
You did it. That. But then nothing seemed. Well, yeah, okay.
I didn't quite pull off the counter attack part, but I did knock him back at least, and that was enough to provide me some space to kill him. So as we close off here, I mean, this is Dark Souls 2. It's Dark Souls 2 again. I think if you are looking for an excuse to play Dark Souls 2 again,
and I always am,
this is a very good excuse. Like the new enemy placements really do change stuff up, and I don't know. I'm digging it quite a lot.
But you also dig Dark Souls 2 quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It would take a lot for me to not like it. Of course, it is worth remembering that as much as things change, sometimes things stay the same.
Oh my God, Phil.